You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxshall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing, daily, hopefully. Hello, today is Monday the 16th of September 2024, and you are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. I managed to make that last 10 seconds just by saying it slower. Yep, that gives you an idea of what I've planned for this. Literally nothing. Had an interesting day at work today. I have to be careful what I say, but unusually I didn't enjoy working today. Won't go into why, can't do that, but it's just very unusual for me to come home thinking, I don't want to do that again in a hurry. It's a shame, but never mind, I'm sure I'll be fine on my next shift. In fact, I know I will, because it'll be a completely different kind of flight, which I'm quite looking forward to. But I'm absolutely shattered. It was a long shift. There was they got us to they planned for a massive delay getting back to the airport because it was let me get this right, Mexican Day of Independence, or the weekend of Mexican independence, and apparently Chicago has the highest population of Mexican immigrants than anywhere in the United States, which I find quite surprising given how far north Chicago is. But apparently there's over 400,000 Mexicans living in and around the city, and they had this big party planned, and apparently we were warned in advance you would see loads of cars with Mexican flags driving around and loads of just pop-up eateries and stuff, and I didn't really see any of that. So, and then they made special different arrangements for picking us up from the hotel to normal because of all of this going on, because you're definitely going to be late. There's all this there's massive party going on, and it's going to cause a delay getting you back to the airport. It didn't. So I'm not quite sure. Maybe they had a problem in the past and they were just being super cautious this year, but it didn't seem to affect us. And we got to the airport pretty much on time. This is one of those weird flights. For some reason, even though we're all going to the same place, the flight crew get a separate transport to us, although on this occasion, because they thought it was going to be difficult getting a bus through the traffic, they thought we'd better send one bus than two. So we all went together. But so just a not very fun day at work today. So in terms of writing, I've done nothing. I'm absolutely shattered. I got in, I went to bed after having something to eat, and I slept for a bit, and now I'm up. What have I done? I've watched an episode of Young Sheldon, the one where he decides to become, a very early one, the one where he decides to become an actor and gets the lead role in Annie, and then chickens out at the last minute, so doesn't actually go on stage. It was vaguely amusing. Then I watched an episode of An Idiot Abroad. I don't know why I find Carl Pilkington so funny, but he genuinely occasionally comes out with some just really funny things. But I was just trying to think of one off the top of my head. There's a really amusing one about Rupert Murdoch and what he would look like naked. And Carl Pilkington, I'm imagining like a tortoise without its shell. I don't know, that made me laugh. And then the other thing I've done today is, I don't know if I have mentioned this before, but I'm a big fan of a company called Big Finish that produce Doctor Who. Well, not only Doctor Who, but they produce audio dramas, including a lot of Doctor Who stuff. It's all officially licensed by the BBC, and they do ranges for, let me think. So of the original Doctors 4 to 8 are still alive, and they are producing ranges every year with them. The first 3 that are no longer with us, they've got actors that sound very much like them. In fact, the second Doctor actor is Michael Troughton, son of Patrick Troughton, and they're very good, actually, the second Doctor ranges with Mr. Troughton Jr. So that covers it. So they do something every year with the first 8 Doctors. They've also just done a range of Ninth Doctor with Christopher Eccleston. He's taking a little break now, but coming back later in a year or two. Then you've also got David Tennant sometimes records with them, so there's a 10th Doctor range. 11th and 12th Doctor, Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi have never done anything with them. They've got a very good actor who sounds like Matt Smith. In fact, the first time I heard him in an episode, because he has a cameo in a Fifth Doctor episode where the Fifth Doctor is just sort of, he's lost a companion and he sort of just ends up in Victorian England and just runs into the 11th Doctor, who was basically doing the same after he lost Amy and Rory. He's sort of hiding in Victorian England. And the first time I heard it, it was like, oh my God, they've got Matt Smith. And then it turned out not to be Matt Smith, but it's a very, very good. It's an actor called Jacob Dudman. He does a very, very good Matt Smith. I've referred to him as a Matt Smith impersonator to a friend before, and I do think that's very unfair because he's very good. He's not just doing an impersonation, he really feels like the 11th Doctor. Capaldi's never done any. Apparently he doesn't really like doing radio drama, so I'm hoping he'll change his mind. But they've done like stuff with the same actor, Jacob Dudman, playing him, but he doesn't mean 11th Doctor. That sounds exactly like the 11th Doctor. His 12th Doctor, not so good. And they've also done a range starring John Hurt when he was alive, and more recently somebody who sounds exactly like John Hurt called Jonathan Carley. So yes, of the first chronologically 11 Doctors taking up to David Tennant, they're producing stuff every year featuring them, and they actually announced Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill are doing a series that starts being released next year of the 13th Doctor adventures. So yeah, I really like what they do. They produce a lot, so the law of averages, not everything is great, but a lot of it is very good. The one that arrived in the mail today, whilst I was in Chicago, was one of this year's 2 sixth Doctor Colin Baker box sets, and it's celebrating 40 years because he started in 1984. He made his first appearance, so obviously it's the 40th anniversary this year. So they've done stuff sort of celebrating him and bringing back characters. I haven't listened to it yet, but yes, I got the Trials of a Time Lord boxed set through the post, which I have ripped onto my iTunes and will listen at some point. Anyway, no writing today, hopefully writing tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. I wasn't going to write today, as I say. When I've had a bad day at work, on the rare occasions that happens, it just beats the creativity out of me, and I don't have the creativity today, but hopefully I'll feel a bit more like it tomorrow. Anyway, technically I'm still 2 days ahead of my deadline for finishing the previous chapter, so it's all good. Anyway, I've waffled too much. I'll shut up, and I'll be back at some point tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my link tree at linktr.ee/Richard Wright, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.